Everybody, I'm Dustin Graham. I work on the Streety team. For my Innovation Week project, I wanted to learn more about React Native. I've been hearing a lot about it from my friends. React Native is a cross-platform development framework and tools that allow you to write applications with JavaScript and incorporate native code. The code that you write actually runs as native UI on the platforms, and so you can get full visual fidelity and native interactions with your applications, but still while sharing a great deal of code. Some of the most popular and successful applications that are out there today, like Facebook and Instagram, have large amounts of React Native code running inside of them. And you might not even know it. And so that's an indication to me that this is something worth looking at, and I wanted to see how hard it would be to incorporate React Native into an existing application. And so my project was to take a screen from Streety, write it in React Native to see how close to the real thing we could get. And here's what we came up with. What you're looking at here inside of Streety is the Cameras tab. The Cameras tab lists all of your cameras and any cameras that are shared with you. So this user has 4 cameras and 1 camera from a neighbor. And if I want to share one of my cameras, I can tap on the share button and it shows a UI with a map of my neighborhood and also a list of people. And I could just select these people and unselect them and change who has access to my cameras. These are the 2 screens that I tried to recreate with React Native. Let's see how I did. So I added a 4th tab over here inside the app. This Cameras tab is written with JavaScript. And as you can see right away, visually there's nothing to lose. It's real UI. This isn't a web view with some HTML markup that's meant to look like a mobile app. This is a real mobile app. One thing you'll notice though is we're missing a camera. I left that out intentionally to demonstrate one of the great things about the workflow of building in React Native. So what you're looking at here is my index.js. This is just my entry point into my app, and I've got this component called Shared Cameras. In React, all the UI are made up of components. A component is a small composable piece of UI that can be composed with other pieces to build bigger UIs. Every component has a render function that renders a view. And this markup is called JSX. Inside this view, I've got a flat list, and each of these items in the list is a shared camera, and it's driven by this array of cameras. But as I'm loading my cameras, you'll see that I grabbed my shared cameras, and I'm only using the owned cameras. So let me remove that and figure out if we can get the owned cameras and the shared cameras in here. So the owned cameras and cameras concat with this state cameras guest cameras, and that should be able to fix our list. Now, one of the great things about React Native that I found this week is the speed of iteration. We're able to actually write code and see it instantly inside the app. So I'll click on my emulator over here. I double tap RR on my keyboard, and it reloads my app from my new code. And there's my camera. As you can see, this is a huge benefit to developers. Being able to reduce the time it takes to write code and see effect is a huge productivity boost. So I wired up the click listener for each of these items to take me to my share sheet list. As you can see, I've got a map and I've got a list of cameras, not cameras of my neighbors. I didn't end up having time to wire up all the multi-select between these 2 tabs. But I did get this far, and I want to show you one more thing. So I have this map view, which is a third-party component that I incorporated into my app to be able to get native Google Maps, but have bindings into React Native. I found that there is a map type for satellite, and I just type that in. I come over here, I reload my UI, and there I have it. I have my full color satellite map. And so I think overall I'm very pleased with React Native. The amount of code that it took to write these user interfaces, these screens, ended up being a lot less than it took to write the same screens with Kotlin or Swift on Android and iOS. The great thing about the React Native screen code that I wrote here is it's cross-platform. We could mount this React Native screen into our iOS app, and we'd be able to get the same result, but with the native look and feel and actual real native components of iOS. Like I said, there's a lot of big companies, big apps, apps that you use every day that are incorporating this into their work, into their applications. And so I think it's worth worth some effort on our part to continue to look into React Native and see how it could benefit us. Thank you.